Alright, so welcome back to Dominion League Action, Season 22 here, and our first opponent after hiatus from the game is Qsenoch, currently top of the leaderboard, so this should be a nice reintroduction into the game. So we are starting here because I was tinkering with my software, recording software, and I didn't fix it back properly, so now I have a piece of a game to show you all here, but we'll explain the important parts of the first few turns. So my opponent had 2-5. He went for Sauna Squire against my Sauna Silver. He eventually ended up winning the Sauna split 3-2. We both picked up dungeons when we couldn't buy Sauna. And then he gained a couple more silvers with his squire than I did. I didn't pick up any squire until much later, or even another silver. It did allow him to get 3 Avantos to my 2 Avantos, so he won both those splits and then put his training token down on that. I subsequently put my training token down on it as well because there wasn't really another pile for me to do that in. One big difference, not big, but a difference in the deck so far is that I have a Baron, which I picked up somewhere in the middle while I was trashing down with the Sauna Avanto thing. The reason is that, well, Sauna Avanto trashes very quickly and you can find yourself short on economy, so the Baron will rectify that. So yeah, I had a few good draws and it allowed me to at least catch up to my opponent. He had the first player advantage, ended up picking up the 3 Saunas, the 3 Avantos, which isn't terrible on this board because there's Fortress and Hunting Grounds to help supplement your draw, but it's still you'll see what it allowed him to do here. So I have just slowed down the video a bit. Now we are up to speed here. My opponent has a Fortress now, and I believe this is going to be a Platinum and a Forge for him here, right? So Forge is going to be pretty nice here. I was thinking of Forge mostly on fortresses, so you could forge a couple fortresses to get a province, and that might break a tie or something. I do have an estate around for the Baron. That might also break a tie, who knows, we'll see, but the Forge for my opponent is very good. It does give him some potential, some extra gain and potential going into the end game here. The question is whether to buy another squire or not, and I don't think he goes for it. I wish I could have showed you all the beginning parts of this match because there were some parts, like I had 2 on turn 3 and the decision was whether or not to buy a squire. I chose not to do that. My opponent opened with the squire. I feel the squire was too late for me, right? If you get it on turns 1 or 2, that's fine, but on turns 3 and 4 is a bit too late. I eventually went back for the squire just to use it as a source of plus buy. So basically, I had to build my deck a little bit differently to my opponent because of the kind of draws that I got, and I think it worked out well. Like, I bought a Platinum before my opponent, then I put my training token down, so that coupled with the good draws allowed me to catch up a little bit. I think we are on even footing at this point. So here I do have a second dungeon, right? And I could play my dungeon, but it does mean I would have to discard my silver. And I told myself, okay, no, I want the money because I checked $20 or something that I had and I would make use of the $20 somehow, somewhere. I'm wrong, I have $21 through the squire, and what actually ends up happening is that I buy things worth $19, 19 coins, right? So what I'm saying is that I could have played that dungeon and discarded a silver because I was only spending $19 anyway. I thought I had 20, but I neglected to count the money from the squire, and you'll see how me top decking that estate there comes into play in the next game. So Platinum for me, Fortress, and a Hunting Grounds. The Hunting Grounds because I recognize that Sauna Avanto decks break after a certain point. After you put enough cards in it, the Sauna Avanto thing is not reliable anymore. So here is the debate for the squire. Not gonna pick up the squire, it's not worth it for me. It's just a stop card that gets in the way of Sauna and Avanto, and this is a very, very scary hand. So if had I played the second dungeon, I would have had 4 cards coming in, and a much better chance to get rid of this junk hand here. So my opponent actually forges a fortress into a fortress, so that's good for him because on subsequent turns he has the potential to gain a province with that forge, right? I could have picked up a forge on my previous turn, but I didn't because I needed the draw I felt from the hunting grounds. Without that, I would stall and die. So again, just being aware of your deck, the differences between your deck and your opponent's deck. He doesn't need the hunting grounds. In fact, he would like prefer to have a couple more dungeons just to make sure his Sauna Avanto thing lines up. He has more than enough draw to do that, whereas I don't. So I have to go for the hunting grounds, and I don't have the time to pick up the forge right now. So look, one dungeon brings me into this, and this is not pleasant. I could play just the Baron, or I could be brave and try to rescue my turn. I tried to rescue my turn, nope. And what did I draw into? A fortress. I would have saved my turn had I played that dungeon to clear off the estate from the top of my deck. So first of all, I wouldn't have had the estate there. Second of all, I would have had 4 cards incoming, and at least I could have kept some tempo up with my opponent. As is, that is effectively the end of the game here, because he is going to be able to pick up a couple more colonies. He could even forge a colony into a colony just to run the pile down, because I am in no position to take enough points to overtake, what, 40 VP? I don't think I could do that. And end the game anyway. So that's effectively the end of the game. That's a big mistake by me there. I didn't count properly. And because I didn't count properly, I didn't play my dungeon. Even if I had counted wrong, I probably should have played that dungeon just to have it in play, because that's the reason I bought the 3rd dungeon as well, because I know Sauna Avanto breaks after you put enough cards in it. The dungeons will help with that. So I bought a 3rd dungeon. Didn't play the 3rd dungeon, and then it was angry and said, you know what, I'm just going to mess up your shuffle. You buy me and then you don't use me. I am offended. Anyways, my opponent actually doesn't end up forging a colony, just picks up another fortress. Again, that's making him very, very reliable, very solid. He could play Fortress Avanto and still draw all the cards he'd like to draw. Another double colony for my opponent, and really, I'm in a bad position here. I'm not really sure what I could do. I'm not even sure my opponent could stall. He has the dungeon in play, and he has more Saunas, more Avantos. The fortresses as well keep him that much more stable. So I kind of mentally gave up at this point, which is why I made the play that I did. I ended up buying 2 colonies and something, but perhaps I should not have bought 2 colonies or any colonies at all. I should have, made them work for it. If you have the win, let me see all 3 colonies you could take. So maybe triple province is better here, because what he ends up doing on his turn is just straight buying 1 colony, because I left 1 in the pile. I don't know what happened after that.